can have a connected in-person class with the Cosmos, but not recorded, not live streamed, but we can do the critical content. And so what I'd like to do with all of you, first is a little bit of review, and then I'd like to begin to explore with the in-person group, as well as everyone in the Cosmos, something around your ideas for your third assignment. And essentially, just to kind of uh, bring some order to this, I'll try and follow exactly what I had planned for today in terms of the cards. I'd like to do four separate cards. Once there's the onboard. Okay, excellent. Delane is doing onboard right now. And in the live chat, we're going to have to do it this way because I won't be able to save the live chat today. I'm going to give Delane the names of the rest of the students who are on board right now, okay? And she can put them into the notes. So essentially, there's going to be four separate cards that I'd like to do with Delane as part of the review. And then we're going to come into the activity, which is explore together your third assignments. As well, I'd like to read out loud one really excellent second assignment that was done on the DC Talks class that we had by Anya. Anya. Is that correct, Anya? Did I get that right this time in terms of
Yes,
pronunciation?
yes, Professor.
And okay, she wrote a really good second assignment, not just in terms of content, but in terms of the writing and her voice. It was so clear. It was so obvious she was speaking authentically and not using AI, maybe for a little bit, but not in any major way. So let's first do this, okay? In terms of who else is on board, could you write down just one? You can write down one name, Delane, Anya, Aniya, and she's in the Cosmos. So can you just put a C beside that? Aniya. I might actually be able to get this up there. Hold on a second. That would be one thing we can do. I can get the notes up here. Hold on, get rid of that. Okay. And let's see if we could do this for you. Export. Okay, so it's going to save this. And then we're going to get the notes up on the big board. I hope if that's working, at least we have something. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I'm now in here. So something's got to work. No, that's not going to work. Oh, I know why. Look at this. I'm so smart. This cable is not connected here. Yeah, let's see if I just did a little troubleshoot on the fly here. Okay, screen share, wire, and then if that doesn't work, then I am not that smart after all. No. Okay, so forget it. We're not going to waste time with that. Okay, so at least we have notes going there. Okay, so Anya, and put a C beside her name for Cosmos. Carol is here, Carol. Kensia is here, and that is Kensia. Benjamin or Ben, you can just put Ben for short for now, Ben. This is all Cosmos. Jordan, Jordan. Melanie, Melie. Way to go. Morgan, Morgan. Nathan, Nathan. Okay, Nathan's coming. He's on his way. I just saw a live chat. Okay, that's good. Nathan will be here shortly. Shukuru, Shukuru. Trevor, Trevor, Ebot, Ebot, and Jonell, Jonell. Excellent. Okay, so could you please start another card and just call it ahead? What's ahead? Okay, after this. And this is where we can start to really talk. Okay, and we're going to do 3 cards with Delane, and then we'll get going on the activity. But if you could just write down what is ahead. Well, what's ahead is your third assignment. Okay. So if you could just write down third assignment, and then we'll make sure we get a few critical things there. So for all of you who have not reviewed this yet, have not seen this online, it's worth 30% of your final grade. And it is due on April the 22nd, I think it is. I'll just check. Is that Waleed? I've got it here. Uh, yes, thank you. Thank you, Kendra. So it's due Thursday, April the 23rd, but here's the nice little bit of bonus that's available for everybody. If you hand it in on Wednesday, April the 22nd or earlier, you get a 10% bonus. Okay? And that day, Wednesday, April the 22nd, is our last class. So we have 3 classes left, including today. The other thing I need to do today with you is determine among you who would want to give a live presentation in the class that day. If you do that, a live presentation, you would automatically receive a 10% bonus as well. But you may not want to do that. So I want to give everybody the option and to think about that. One of the things I would like to add to this card today, if we can, is the beginning of a list of anybody who wants to do a presentation so we can start to be prepared for that. Okay, so just start thinking about this. We're going to be um, jumping into this in much more detail in probably 15 minutes when we explore your ideas for your third assignment. But in that exploration together, we can start to finalize a list of all of those who are right now online and in person today. Who among you would want to actually present to the class on Wednesday, April the 22nd? I've left that class open for presentations, but you don't have to. It's just an option. Okay, so I want to give everyone that option. But some of you may want the challenge of that in terms of global leadership, being able to present your ideas in an organized way with a Prezi or a PowerPoint or something behind you to the class, and have the class write down their comments on little index cards that I hand out afterwards, and you get instant feedback, little reviews that can be anonymous or not. So let's say Elizabeth presented, then after that, there would be a little discussion with you and questions, and everybody would receive a little index card, and they would write down their comments, what they thought of the presentation, and Elizabeth would then be given that and would take that with her out of the class. And some students really like having those cards when they leave the class at the end of the semester because they get to see what their peers thought of their presentation. So there are options for you, okay? That's coming for the presentations if you choose to do that. So third assignment, and then do you want to just put down presentations, okay? Presentations on Wednesday, April the 22nd. To be decided, TBD. Okay, so let's see what else in terms of ahead we need to do. You have, of course, your discussion post today to do. That's discussion post 12. You'll have discussion post 13 to do next week. But discussion post 14, you don't have to do because we will have finished the semester at that point. So what you're going to see for discussion post 14 in your grades is everybody will receive a 5. for that. So if you're wondering what that 5 is for, it's for the fact that everybody's receiving that as my little gift at the end of the course. So there's 2 discussion posts left and 1 big assignment, and everybody should have handed in their second assignments by now. And I'm starting to mark them. We'll get them back to you soon. In terms of what's coming and how I've sort of just explained it, is there anything that you would like to ask about, talk about right now? What's coming the next 3 weeks? Anything you're concerned about? Anybody online? Please use your microphone just so I don't have to switch back and forth between the live chat here. It's a bit complicated today. Come on in, Nathan. So, Kendra, go ahead. No, no more guests. Okay. So I'm going to, unless you would like someone to come in next week, and you have an idea of somebody and we can invite them, it's probably too short notice at this point. Okay. Essentially, what I really want to do is part of today as well, Kendra, is review the last 2 classes we've had. We've had 5 guests in the last 2 weeks. And I'd like to be able to review that. But if there is somebody that you really think is a great example of a global leader, even somebody in your own field, somebody that you live in your residence with, somebody who lives on your street, somebody you could easily bring in next week, please tell us who that person might be and we can make time for that person. But essentially, I haven't planned on having any guests. Okay. I just want to make sure that you're all ready for this final assignment because I have seen in some of the marks that there are some students who are sort of borderline right now. They know who they are. They're sort of failing and they're passing. And I've spoken to some of them directly. But if you nail your final assignment and it's really, really good, you can not only pass, but maybe do a little bit better than that. So it's extremely important that this assignment is taken as seriously as possible. And I am worried about some students who will leave this to the very, very last minute and will ultimately fail. And I want to prevent that. Okay. So good. Any questions? You're good. Elizabeth, Delane, no questions about ahead. And online in the Cosmos, I don't see anything here. So um, let's start another card called review. And I think I might be able to, at the very, very least, bring up on here my. Um, Let me try for the in-person students because this will help you with the review. I'm going to bring up the class page from last week, and I can do it here. Can I? Will it connect? Yeah. So at least that connects. So let's take a look at first the big class that we had here with the DC talks and the guests there. Okay. So let's do a little review. We're going to review the last 2 classes, okay, Delane? So classes 10 and 11. Classes 10 and 11 were guest intensive. And probably the most helpful class that we've done all semester is the one that I have put up in front of everybody right now on the big board. And for those of you in the Cosmos, if you can open another tab, please go to the class page for DC Talks. And you can see that, of course, in the class folder on DC Connect, and it would be the class 10 folder. Now, let's just review this for a second in terms of these 4 guests that we had. All Durham College graduates, all experienced professionals. I would like to read out loud Anya's assignment or part of it, but let's review for a moment. Three critical takeaways for this in terms of leadership. Okay, three, and I'll keep this with me so everybody can hear me. Three critical takeaways. Elizabeth has her hand up. We'll come to Elizabeth momentarily. You've had a chance to reflect on this. Write an assignment on it if you want. It's really important that you come out of the class this semester with a sense of how to be a master of complexity. Sorry, I'm back now, guys. Can you hear me clearly? You should be able to. Yes? Okay, good. Sorry. We are now making a card, a review card, and we are looking at the class we did, the DC Talks class. And I have asked everyone to think of three critical leadership skills that we can take away from that class. And Elizabeth has given a very nice description, and we're going to explore that a little bit more. But what we're going to put up on the board right now is care. That's what Delane has written. Love what you do. If you love what you do, you will care. If you love what you do, there will be passion. I hope this semester, as you've watched me standing up at the podium with all the problems and all the things that we've been doing, I think you have a sense that I like to be here. Students often talk about the passion that I have. It's not fake. As a matter of fact, I never thought I was passionate about this until I started to teach, and students told me I was. No joke. It's because I like being here, and it took me probably, I'm 63 now, probably when I was in my early 40s. And I realized that what I was doing as a television producer, director, and journalist and writer was just not giving me really what I felt I could contribute. So that's when the teaching began. And now I feel absolutely like I'm in my habitat. So I hope you all will really think about that idea of caring. The leader is the one who cares the most, and the leader is the one who's there because he loves to be there and he or she wants to be there. Okay. So caring, I can't say that that is number one, but we're going to just put three down right now in terms of which comes first, second, or third in terms of priority. It doesn't really matter. These are all three vital things. Okay, so you have to care. You have to love what you do. All of the individuals in the DC Talks did. I certainly do. The second thing, Kendra.
I can't say the word curiosity though. Being curious about people that they're working for and the people that they're working with so that they can better learn how to help those individuals.
Definitely curiosity. Okay. Here's where it's going to get difficult because I may start rejecting for the third. Okay. Caring, curiosity, critical, because you have to always be wanting to know more than anybody close to you, and you want to be able to be ready to be challenged and to be open. So, curiosity. We might add a fourth, we'll see, but for now, I want to keep it as simple as possible. Number three, caring, curiosity. I don't think anybody's going to get this one because nobody has really talked about this. Nathan, could you put a dash on the other side of the card as an idea? Resilience, but it's not going to make the list yet. But it's important, Nathan. What we're going to do on the other side of the card is we'll just put critical ideas, but we need to get the most foundational, most important stuff in the numbered list. Before we go to Elizabeth, she has her hand up. And Waleed, I'm sure anybody in the cosmos, please jump on your microphone and tell us what is a critical takeaway global leadership skill from the DC Talks class. We're reviewing right now. Okay? Anybody want to try in the cosmos? And I'll just double check the live chat, but I don't think there's going to be anything there. It just will take me too long. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Patience. Can see us, but not going to make the numbered list, but let's put it underneath resilience. Okay. Patience. Definitely patience. And we'll come back here. Okay. So, yes, go ahead, everyone. Use the live chat if you have to. I've got it open right now. But we're going to go to Elizabeth. Waleed first. Waleed, put that underneath. This came up occasionally during the DC Talks event, but I feel so strongly about this myself as someone who has led that I'm going to add this to our numbered list because I really want you to think about this. But we could debate it, but it's not something we've talked enough about yet. Elizabeth, you're reading my mind. How did she do that? Brilliant. Vision. Now, wait a second. Way to go. How did I hint at it strongly enough, or did you just feel, what made you say that? Because it is absolutely bang on. Yeah. Exactly. the vision, the imagination. I felt listening to the DC Talks event again in the recording that it wasn't explored enough, but it was touched on, but it wasn't actually articulated by anybody saying, you got to have the vision. You're the one with that imagination in that place, the island, and you're taking everybody to that island. But you imagine that island. You can see how many trees it has. You can see the beaches. You can see the color of the water. You can see the grain of the sand. You know where everybody is going, and you're going to take them all there with you. Okay, excellent. Now, Waleed, go ahead. It has been said by many that only when you really know yourself first can you lead most effectively. But knowing yourself well can be a lifelong enterprise, and not everybody gets there. But Waleed, you are mentioning something very important, and I think that in terms of qualities of leadership, the vision, I would say right now, if we were to prioritize this, is number one. You can't lead without an idea of where to lead to. But when we look at other qualities as we have, the idea of being able to know yourself, we could spend a whole course on that because that involves a lot of psychological, personal understanding. I might suggest something though for all of you. If you would like to know yourself a little bit more and you feel you don't and you wished you did, I would make a suggestion. Okay? Try sitting still and doing nothing. Now, I've used a term in other classes called embrace the gravity of stillness. But I think it might help right now to just address this momentarily because Waleed has put his finger on something where I see some confusion among students, particularly younger students, because it's normal when you're young that you are a bit confused about who you are. And this can carry on into adulthood today because a lot of young people, to some extent, delay the adulthood at times. They don't have families, they don't have children, they don't have responsibilities, they stay in school longer, they live at home with their parents, maybe financially, but it can lead to a bit of delayed adulthood. Adulthood is when you start to really know yourself and accept the responsibilities that you have. But you can still not know yourself completely in adulthood. And you probably never really will know yourself 100%. But if you want to understand a little bit more of who you are inside, really inside, you have to be able to unplug from all the machines, all the stimulation, all the devices, all the tech, and be able to embrace the gravity of stillness. And I could do this exercise with you now for a few minutes if you would like, but it's something you can do later, which is to actually sit still with all of you for about 3 minutes and not even speak. How many of you would like to try that right now for the moment? I can let you do this later, okay? On your own. I would rather do that just because we're kind of time problem, but normally I will do that with a class. Sometimes we will sit in silence for 5 minutes. Some people don't like that. Gravity, as we know, is a critical force in nature. If any of you have been watching a little bit of the mission to the moon and our Canadian astronaut, Jeremy Hansen, who was on board the Orion spacecraft in this crew called Integrity. There are four of them, three Americans, one Canadian. They had to deal with a gravity free environment. But gravity on Earth is something special. It pulls everything back to here. It's a force inside the planet. Gravity pulls you down. It's heavy, it's weighted, and it keeps us firmly grounded. But gravity also means significant, something that's really important. So when we talk about embracing the gravity of stillness, we mean that you have to find a way to allow yourself to get into that state where you can feel the weight of gravity making you quiet. When you're quiet and when you're still and you can start to quiet your thoughts, you can go deeper within yourself and experience a deep connection to who you are. You will start to get a feeling for who you are. Your imagination at that point will slow down. Not immediately, but if you sit still long enough, this is why people meditate and often will do these kinds of activities. You, just a second. This is this wants to distract us. very interesting. I think I know how to control this. Hold on. Where is that? I know where this is coming from, but let me try and. Okay. There we go. Done. Okay. I will give you all a challenge in your life going forwards that if you want to know yourself better and you want to lead more effectively, learn how to sit still for longer and longer periods and listen to what you are saying to yourself. Let all the other stimulation, all the voices, all the things that are rushing through your mind just quiet down and then see what remains. See what remains. Listen to what remains, and you may have a better sense pretty soon of the things you like and the things you don't like, the things you feel strongly about and the things you don't. And that's where you'll begin to see more clearly who you are. Does that kind of make sense? Try it sometime, okay? Embrace the gravity of stillness, and that will help you more to understand who you are. So, I'm going to say for now that in terms of the review, unless anybody else has something that they would like to add, I'm going to review three critical points that have come from our little conversation right now in terms of what the DC Talks event helped us to see, with a few other points at the side. We've determined that you have to care. That's where the passion comes. That's where the love is. You have to be curious and want to learn and know. And most importantly, according to Lon, okay, most importantly, as Elizabeth beautifully identified, you need to have a vision. And then resilience, patience, and courage are all part of it too. I just want to say one other thing while we're reviewing, before we get into our third assignments. Could you do a card called feedback? I'd like to give some general feedback for all of you in terms of what I'm seeing in your discussion posts and your assignments, and things maybe to do and not to do for your final assignment. So we'll call this feedback. And for those of you in the cosmos, particularly far off in another solar system, asynchronously, who've been receiving lower grades from me and haven't received the feedback that you wanted, I wish I could give feedback to every single one of my 200 or so students. I'm trying to. But for those of you who haven't received the feedback they've wanted, please listen to what I'm saying very closely right now. This is feedback. Number one, you will see in the marking scheme integration of course material. Integration of course material is a really important dimension to how I'm going to be marking your final assignment. It's out of 50. There's research involved, there's creativity involved, and clarity. All of these things are fairly self explanatory in terms of research and clarity and creativity. But the one thing that I want to make sure you understand is integration of course material. And so I'd like to ask in the nucleus right now, when I say that I'm looking closely at integration of course material in what you write, what do you think I mean? Kendra?
For like the topics that we cover in class too.
You're referring to what we've covered in the class. I want to make sure that what you don't do is refer to the ideas we've covered in the class, but then you start talking about things outside the class, examples outside the class. It's great to refer to the ideas we've explored in the class. That's very important. But the examples need to come from the class too, unless it comes from your research that you will be doing and that you have to provide sources for, because there are three sources that you will have to give, three independent sources for this assignment. And if you're going to be giving examples outside of the class. Now you have to cite them. You haven't had to do that yet. In the second assignment, a little bit. I gave you a chance to do that for one source. But please don't cite things outside of the class that you haven't provided the supporting citation for. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that? I really want to make sure. Here's what I'm trying to prevent. It's fascinating time to be an educator. I'm only going to talk about this point because this is such a critical point, and then we're going to move on, okay? I've probably spent enough time this semester talking to you about how difficult it is now for me to be a professor marking students' work. It's never been more challenging. Any professor will tell you that now because of AI. There's never been a time in education, ever, where it is possible, as you know, to hand in high quality work and not do the work. Let me just give you an example of something. The other day I was reading an article written by a student from Yale University, a very good university in the United States. I wish I could give a Canadian example, but for the moment it's an American example. This was not a professor, this was a student. Here's what she said. She said she goes into seminars now with other students, and she said, everybody seems to be sounding the same. Everybody's going to the same sources. When they are talking about something, they're going to the same websites, the same places. I can't tell you how disappointing it was recently in another class. I had a student, excellent student. I won't even say the pronoun correctly because I don't want to identify the student in any way. They said to me that they wanted to do more research. And I said, go to a library, go get a book. What did I see in the end for their research? A TED Talk. Who doesn't go to TED? Everybody goes to TED. This student is excellent, no question. And I will work with this student forever to make sure that that student reaches their full potential. And this student will do very well. But even a student at that level did not want to read. Now, you might ask, well, why do we have to read? Students do that all the time today. If you have a disability, no problem. Come talk to me. I will help you. But if you don't, and you don't want to explore deeper thinking, which is what you get when somebody writes something at length, they've had to labor over their sentences, make choices of the words and their language. They've had to go into research and really dig and not just get something quickly. But this Yale University student, I think, was identifying something that I hope you don't experience too much in your lives. Is you go into a room with a whole bunch of human beings and you start talking about something and you want a deep conversation, a real conversation, you want to learn something, and it turns out everybody's gone to the same places because that's where ChatGPT sent them. Wow. That wasn't even a professor. And this student was saying, where's the originality anymore? I want a seminar with my fellow students. I want to hear their different opinions. And they're all saying more or less the same thing. Yikes. That's a danger, if I would say, to even civilization itself. So please, when you refer to the course material, refer to the ideas, back them up with research, do some good research. Don't just go to the normal places. And if you use examples, please, as best you can, use examples from what you've seen in the class, even your fellow students and what they've said on their discussion posts. You've got lots of great student work right there in front of you, okay? Is everybody clear about that? Yeah, okay. I'm not going to say anything more about that. Let's go now. That's just the one thing on feedback integration of course material. Delane, please use scholarly, independent, deep thinking sources, not just TED Talks, please. Okay, so I think it's time that we get to the main event, and then we're going to spend about 15 minutes on this, and then we're going to conclude, and that is your third assignments. Is anybody, um, first, let me bring up Ania's assignment because I want to read something out loud here uh, before we do that. And I'll, oops, give me a moment. There, I have it here. No, that's that one. Here it is. Okay, so why don't I just read this before we get started because I'm concerned I will forget, and then we will get finally to your ideas. Ania, are you still with us in the cosmos? I
Yes.
think. Yes. Okay. Um, I'm going to read this out loud, okay? And then we're going to move on. But if there's anything you'd like me to add, please go ahead when I'm finished, okay? I'm not going to read it all, but just listen to how she's writing and the references to the course material. Everything is referring to what's happening in the class. My reflection on the DC Talks Innovation and Resilience, March the 25th. Watching the DC Talks Global Leader panel from March 25th was actually a lot more interesting than I expected for a school assignment. Since I'm studying business and economics, I wasn't sure how much a group of healthcare experts would have to say that applied to me, but I was wrong. The stories shared by the Durham College alumni Matthew Canning, Tamara Deuce, Beth Brandon, and J.D. Heffern showed that leadership just isn't about being a boss. It's about how you handle things when they start falling apart. Bang on. Problem solving. The person who stood out to me the most was J.D. Heffern. He had this funny, weird analogy about resilience. He said that instead of being like cockroaches, which everyone says can survive a nuclear blast, we should try to be like fruit flies. His point was that fruit flies are super resilient to change and just keep pushing forward no matter what. What I liked most was how honest he was about his own path. He admitted that he failed his first year in the paramedic program, and it took him 2 years to finish a 1 year course. I'm just going to stop for a moment and tell you something about why I believed that this was worth reading out loud. It's so specific to what we did in the class. What some students do sometimes is they will start writing, let's say, about resilience. Let's say it's a resilience or a topic that we've covered, but then they'll jump off and they'll start talking about resilience in general. And they'll give an example from something else, and immediately I go, oh, I think they've just now chat GPT'd resilience. Give me some examples of resilience. And they've plugged that in. So they give the idea, but then now they're skating off into another place, which is general and abstract and not related to the class. But she didn't do that. She stayed focused on this event. The person he admitted that he failed the first year in the paramedic program and it took him 2 years to finish a 1 year course. As a student, that felt really real. I can tell you, if I read a sentence like really real, I know she wrote it. ChatGPT would never give you that because it's not very correct. It's kind of colloquial, but it's a good, well written sentence. It's a student writing in their voice, using their word choice from their memory, not just going to Grammarly and getting Grammarly to feed them their sentences. I've had students tell me this again and again. I put my notes into Grammarly, and Grammarly just cleans up my sentences. And then I ask them, but wait a minute, what did Grammarly really do? Did Grammarly give you the sentences? And they say, yes, but it's still my idea. And then I have to tell them, you haven't been taught properly about writing. You must struggle with word choice. You must struggle with where to put the period and the comma and how to arrange the parts of the sentence, because that's critical thinking. That's detail. That matters. That makes you a better thinker. As a student, that felt really real. In business, we're always taught to be perfect and efficient. But JD's story showed that failing isn't the end of the world. It's just part of the process of getting better. In my future career in project management, I know I'm going to run into nuclear blasts, projects that fail or budgets that get cut. And I want to have that fruit fly mindset when I can just pivot and keep going. Ania, I want to commend you on the fact that you were really listening. Did it help you to have the recording and watch the recording to be able to rewind and check things? Just curious.
Yes,
Yes,
Professor.
Professor. It did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I'm not going to read this all, but just in terms of helping the students here understand how to really do well on their third assignment, so they do as well as you have on this assignment. What advice would you give them?
I just say to like watch the recordings all over again, to like rewind what we've gone through the classes, and just write what's on your mind.
Hmm.
Like
And then
whatever comes on your mind regarding the topic, just start writing it down.
can you tell us, how did you use Grammarly? Or like, obviously you used something probably to help you with some proofreading, or maybe you didn't. But how did you make sure that you nailed these sentences, so these sentences were simple and clear, and grammatically correct? How did you do that?
I just like did it with a friend of mine.
Huh.
We did it together.
Did it
So he
together.
helped me out with certain things.
Great, great. So you actually used another human being to help you. You didn't just outsource it to a machine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The old way. Go to your brother or your sister, your parent or a friend, sit with them, and they might teach you a few things. Maybe as you're doing that, have a coffee, a glass of water, maybe a sandwich together, and do the human way and not just keep going to machines. Because if we keep going to machines, we're all going to sound alike. Thank you, Ania. Okay, very good.
Thank you,
Finally,
Professor.
yeah, finally, who here among the nucleus right now, after your discussion you had at the beginning of today's class, would be prepared to come up to the podium and tell us a little bit about what they're planning to do for their third assignment? Anybody ready? You may not be. It's okay. Kendra, why don't you come up? Okay. Kendra's Okay. Sorry, everyone. We're back again. We lost you. Can you hear me? It's Lon here in the global classroom. Please just confirm. Go ahead. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Great. So Kendra's with us at the podium, and Kendra is telling us about what she plans to do for her third assignment. And we're helping her focus it a little bit more as a kind of case study to help all of you. Okay, I'm gonna say one or two things, and then we can conclude. Okay, unless there are points that people want to mention, but I just want to focus on some very important things today that I really want to make sure I see in the final assignment. This assignment, if you do it as a written assignment, which probably most of you will do, 1,400 to 1,500 words. It's an essay with research. The voice I'm asking you to write in is your voice, the voice you've been reflecting on. So you don't now have to default to the official academic voice that you're used to writing papers in. I want to still see you writing in the same voice that Ania has written. It's like she's telling us something. You can hear her talking. So the structure of this also is something I need to kind of help you see, because you may be under the impression that there's certain things you need to have in a paper, in an academic paper, to get 100%, to get. Not in my class. In my class, I want to make sure that you are writing clearly and freely, but that certain things are in place. And one thing must be in place. And then the rest, I'll let you work with the structure on your own. You must say at the beginning, in the opening paragraph, why what you're about to tell me matters so much. Why should I care? Why should I care that you are about to tell me what you're about to tell me? Don't assume I care. So let's start this for a moment, okay? Kendra's sitting down and she's writing her first paragraph. In anything you write for anybody officially in the future, you're always going to have to make them care. You can't assume anybody cares. So, Kendra, in your opening paragraph, maybe even in your opening 2 or 3 lines, you don't have to write the lines right now. That will take a little time. But what would you say to me to make me sit up and listen to what you're now going to tell me about? What would you say?
I'd probably say that I'm a First Nations woman, and what I'm talking about is going to be has something that has affected me and will probably affect my children.
Go on.
The topic is about uh, being disconnected from my identity, First Nations, as well as uh, the decolonization that I've had to work on and go through, as many other First Nation communities have.
Okay.
And then the determination I have from obtaining and being reconnected to my community has on me.
And what does that have to do with leadership?
Then I would probably,
So now you're
yeah.
going to tell us about
Yeah.
what?
So how this relates would be, I don't know.
You see, the next and the final sentence, you give me 3 lines there. They're very good. The fourth one, and now we have our opening paragraph.
Yeah.
In this paper, I'm going to provide several skills that I would like to um, bring to my children in the hope that they are going to become leaders in their own lives and in the world at large.
That's a good idea.
But you need to connect that. There's wonderful about I'm a First Nations woman, about the disconnection and all of that. But now you have to, you've defined a problem.
Yeah.
You've defined a problem. Now you have to say, well, I'm going to be giving the solution in this paper. And here are, and then you go through in the body of it, the examples of what your solution is.
Mhm.
And at the end, it would be nice to have this, But the critical part is that beginning. You have to make me care, okay? But a great ending in anything that you write is not just repeating what you've just said, summarizing what you've said. What matters is you give your best shot at the end. It's like a climax, your biggest, most important statement about this topic. That's why I come back to vision, because I think that at the end, in your final paragraph or two, if you were to provide one final philosophical final word, maybe a quote from somebody, or even your own words that kind of speaks to this vision that you have about the future based on these leadership skills that you've just defined for us. You're looking ahead, and you're just giving that final words of your vision for the future, how this is going to make the lives of your children or the world better if these skills are learned. Then you're connecting those things, that vision, to not just your own children and leadership, but to humanity as a whole. You're telling us that here's your vision for a better humanity based on these leadership skills. Something like that. It's a bigger vision statement at the end. Does
Yeah.
that?
It's a highlight. So
It,
I've done it in other papers when we've allowed to use our own voice, because a lot of our papers you have to use
yes.
academic,
Yeah.
right? It probably highlights something to do with how the integration of community leadership leads to everyone getting their choice. Usually, in my opinion.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. I don't
Give some
know.
thought. Give some
Yeah.
thought. You can share. So make us care at the beginning, state the problem, connect it to leadership, give us the examples of the solution and the body,
Mhm.
state your vision at the end, and you have a nice little structure to work with. Okay.
All right.
Anything you want to add to that? You good?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Look forward to it. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So that is Kendra's example, and I'm going to leave it at that, unless any of you would like to add to this, to what Kendra has said, or even just provide your own example. I think we can conclude the class. I just want to make sure that this gets into the notes as well. Kendra's example. So what wants to talk about her culture and how she has developed. Okay, so then beginning, make us care. Make us care. Okay, so Nathan, Waleed, Kendra, Darrell, everybody good? Everyone in the cosmos, you know where to find me. I will see you here next week, and have a great week. And I hope, if you are working on many other assignments and tests and exams right now, that you can calm down, become still, and you will be able to solve lots of problems that way if you can just get yourself calm. See you next week. Okay, so make us care in the opening paragraph. Make us care. Presentations to be decided. Now, we do that next week. We still have a little time. Yes,
Uh,
Waleed.
Sorry, teacher, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Oh, yeah. Morgan, go ahead. Or
It's
Trevor.
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 Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Trevor. Sure.
So for assignment number two, I was because uh I was looking like during the class because you told us like you're already like grading them. So I just want to see if I got a grade back. And when I well, the thing is, I kind of didn't really submit it. I submitted like another class with a whole different class. So I
That's
didn't
okay.
even can I submit it like right now? And I know obviously won't be like full points, but like something is better than zero, you know?
Oh, you mean you submitted on another class altogether at the
Yeah,
college? Yeah,
because
this happens from
yeah,
time to time. I think I have to rewrite the
the
instructions.
the
Yeah, some
reason
students.
the
Yeah,
reason
go ahead.
why because I have another class that literally says assignment number two.
Okay.
So I kind of like a little confused, but yeah, that's on me for sure.
Trevor, I will give you um, the today is Wednesday. I'll give you until Sunday. Okay, this Sunday to get it done
Yeah.
properly.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, I just need to submit it. Like it's already done. I just didn't submit it in the right spot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is it well written?
I think so. I
Is it okay?
I for assignment two, remember when we were talking about Niyabukele?
Yes, of course. From
So
El Salvador. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I picked that class, and I
Good.
just was talking about like, well, I was like giving a little introduction to him, and like, how as a Latino, this like, well, not affects me, but like, like how makes me feel,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
makes
yeah,
me
yeah.
feel, and all. But I
Good.
think it's pretty not bad. It's a pretty good assignment. I think so.
Okay. Excellent. And it's definitely written by Trevor, right? Trevor's
Oh yeah,
words.
yeah,
Great.
no,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. So then send it. I mean, I will give you till Sunday, but since it's basically done, then send it between now and then, whenever you're ready. Okay.
yeah. Thank you very much,
Okay.
teacher.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Have a nice day.
All right. You too.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye. Okay. So the nucleus of people are leaving here. Delane and others. What about in the cosmos? Anybody else? I'm here at the podium, and just jump on your microphone, okay? Like Trevor, if there's anything you'd like to say. Okay. Good. Mm, okay. Let's see what's in the live chat. If there's anything there that I need to finally check. Okay, good. Okay. All done. Yep. Yeah. Good. There's nothing there. We're good. Okay, Delane, thanks. We're good. Yeah. Okay, guys. I'm gonna be here for a while. If there's anything you need to talk to me about, there's nobody else coming in here. So let me just open the doors, okay? And then we can talk. Okay. Thanks very much. Okay, Darrell, I'm just going to end this so we're not live anymore.